Hello everyone. Today we'll be talking about an excellent match which was played in 1972 between which was won by Bobby Fischer. So let's start towards the video, and before that you should join our today's sponsor of the video, which is chess.com. You can join by clicking the link in the description. So let's start toward the video. So around half a century ago there was a historic day for chess, and the whole world was watching when Bobby Fischer had done it. He fought almost single-handedly against the Soviet chess grandmaster. Okay, so what will be we have in this match? So after the 13th game of the 1972 World Chess Championship, Fischer just taken a 3-point lead against Boris Spassky. So 7 game later, he was still at a 3-point lead at 11.5 for Fischer and 8.5 for Spassky. So rather than maintaining some special status quo, the 7 games were totally equally played. So after he had navigated the message and made it to the board, Fischer played Sicilian defense. So even though the endgame was drawn, but blunder leads to defeat to Spassky. So we have the game on the board. So let's see how we can win this. So the first of all, uh, the Boris Spassky was playing as white and the Bobby Fischer was playing as black. So white started the game by e4, c5, a complete normal game with the Sicilian defense. e6, d4, and white offers an exchange of the central pawn, which black accepts, and the knight takes the pawn. a6, knight c3, and knight c6. So at this stage, this variation was tested in 2 games by GM Richard Rappert. So I think the position with black more or less 50 times during my career. So Fischer, however, played it only this time in 1972. Bishop to e3. White and black both are ready to trade their knights. So black plays knight to f6. So at this step played here, white could have knight taken the c6 pawn. No, at the c6. Yeah. So this is the main move, and it's just always bothered me the most. So I don't know why they didn't sacrifice the pieces, because it made a lot of sense. So I'm moving to the game. Knight f6, bishop d3, and at this stage, black could have just simply played queen to d2. So this is one of the most dangerous moves if it was played by the queen, followed by f3 and f4. But he didn't, so he just simply went with d3, bishop to d3, and d5. So interestingly, before the match, this move had only been played in 2 games. So in the 19th century, we have an unexplored position on the board that Spassky did not expect. So the central break leads to a somewhat worse position to black and gets the isolated queen's pawn. So the queen's pawns were traded. E takes e5. So that's best way to recapture. If black takes with the knight, white gets the advantage in many ways. So I think it was a great move that black just exchanged simply exchange the pieces, the pawns. White goes for a kingside castle. So instead of just castling at this stage, white could have just played queen to d2, and he could just simply castle in both ways. But this move has also one disadvantage, because if he had moved then black can just simply in the next move play knight to b3. So exchange bishop to d6. Now black has no big problem. The legendary GM, especially in Sicilian, lost 3 games with the black pieces in this position, but it's all of them he managed to achieve a good position in the opening. So finally the knights were traded. d4, black castles on the king side, and queen to f3. So I think in this stage you could have just played simply you could have just played knight to a4, and in the next one you can just simply go here and or have some multiple variations, or you can just simply c5, move knight to c5. So you could have c5 control over c2 and c4 squares. Bishop to e6, and now rooks to fe1. So capturing at fe immediately was also possible after this move. So c5, black plays c5, and now the main queens are on the board for ready to be sacrificed, and which they did in that. And I think I like the main strategy I like about the Magnus Carlsen is that if the sacrifice is possible, he just sacrifices his seat. So I think this makes a lot of sense for grandmaster level players. So queen actions, the pawn takes the queen, and rook to d1. Black brings to d8 as rook. So at this stage, Spassky plays an excellent move, which is bishop to e2. So Spassky plays the next move accurately. He needs to be fast, otherwise the bishop pair can be dangerous, especially in the hands of Fischer, who was an expert at handling the advantage of bishop against a knight. So game goes on with rook to a to b8, b3, c4, a critical moment of the stage, and the excellent move was played. Knight takes the d5. So it's necessary to sacrifice the exchange to achieve equal game. The both the players at this stage sacrifices their pieces, and king takes h2. Both the rooks are sacrificed. Sorry, the battery running low. And bishop to c4. So white is very active and has no problem holding this endgame. Rook to d2 and bishop to xa6. Rook c2, bishop to e2. Both the rooks were exchanged, so this ending is easily drawn as the queenside pawns are a constant danger from black's rook. In addition, the broken structure of the king's side hinders any serious victory attempt. So the game moves in an unnecessary move despite some decisive overwhelming. So at this stage, Fischer's offer a pawn exchange, and now it creates a passed pawn. As you can see, the black is slowly moving his pawn, and now this blunder changes everything. So king to f3, this is a blunder. White loses by one detail, the bad positioning of g8 bishop. So now no one can stop the black pawn from entering. So, so both the players are trying their best. B1, rook to B2, and we can see that Spassky has lost the control of the board. The game was adjourned, but there was no point in continuing. The winning plan is very simple at this stage. So the next move could have been king to g4. Now the king was protecting the pawn, and now the checkmate can be in no time. h3. The king has to move. King moves back, and it's a bloody check. Once here, and we are done. So the game ended in Bobby Fischer's favor with just one mistake and one bad positioning of the bishop. So this was all for today's. This was some game which was important to talk about. So I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much.